Bonjour, 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 and welcome back to my channel, The Waves of Your Soul. Today's video is gonna be a roundup of my current favorites. I have so many things I wanted to share with you that I've been enjoying in the last couple of months. So as per usual with those favorite roundups, we're gonna be talking about tarot and oracle decks, obviously, because this is what we mostly talk about on this channel, but we're also gonna be talking about TV shows, video games, lifestyle things that have put a smile on my face in the last couple of months. So as per usual, all the things I'm gonna be talking about are gonna be in the description box below. There's gonna be chapters for each of the category of my monthly favorites, so if you're just interested in decks, you can go straight to that. If you want to watch everything, thank you so much, I really appreciate it. And if it's your first time here, hi, my name is Marine. I'm a French tarot reader and a lover of everything tarot, oracle and self-empowerment related. I love talking about tarot and oracle decks. I also enjoy posting tarot readings, so if you enjoyed any of that, please don't hesitate to join the tide and subscribe. I would love to have you. And if you enjoyed this video, you can give it a thumbs up or leave me a comment. It's a little gesture, but it definitely makes a difference and helps my little channel to grow. So without further ado, let's get into my monthly favorites. So how is everybody doing? How are you finding the beginning of the year so far? I hope it's been kind to you. I hope you've been managing to find some moments of gentleness, of kindness, and I hope things are flowing for you the way you desire. I've had quite an up and down beginning of the year. I actually started the year on a really beautiful note because two of my closest friends came over to visit me around Christmas time. So if you follow me on Instagram, I was sharing quite a lot on my stories, all the things we got up to, visiting like temples here, like Hindu temples, Chinese temples. We went to the markets, we went to the beach, and we just had a lovely time. The three of us, it was just the perfect little girl trip for me, and to be reunited with old friends, it's just the best feeling, right? When you have those kind of friendships where it doesn't matter how long you haven't seen each other, it feels like nothing has changed. So beautiful start of the year. But then, as with everything, there's always like good sides and bad sides, and me spending so much time with my friends and maybe pushing myself a little bit more meant that my body didn't quite like that. As I navigate the waters of chronic illness, I went through quite a bit setback in January and February. This is why you didn't see me post too much on my channel. I've just been spending so much time at the doctors and the physio, at during medical appointments, exam and all of that, that my ability to film was very much reduced. But the few videos I did manage to film last month, I really enjoyed, where I shared my favorite decks of the year. I'll put that somewhere in the cards. I loved that. That was a VR to Lisa over at Lisa Papez, and I enjoyed sharing with you my favorite decks of the year, and you seem to have really enjoyed that video as well, so thank you. And also I did recently a little haul, I mean a huge haul. Let's be real, who am I kidding here? We know I'm over the top. A huge haul of new tarot decks and oracle decks that made their way to me in the last 3 months. So I'll put that in the cards as well. That's like the most recent videos I posted at the time of me filming this video right now. I feel like I've just walked through fire in the last 3 months. Physically, there's been a lot going on, and I'm starting to finally find my footing again. So I'm just so grateful for the moments of mobility and ease that I can get, and that's why today when I woke up and I felt better, I was so excited to film my monthly favorites for you. So I want to start with a very random category. I want to start with lifestyle bits, and mostly I want to shout out this jewelry company because I've racked up quite a little bit of a collection now, thanks to my friend who gifted them to me for Christmas, also me purchasing some for myself, and I just wanted to mention them. She's originally from Spain. Her company is called La Ostonera. I'll leave the link of it in the description box, along with all of the things I'm going to talk about. If you ever wonder what I'm talking about, it's all in the description box. So her company is called La Ostonera, and she makes resin earrings. So I actually got a few from my friends from Christmas because one of my friends is from Spain, and I'm in love with this particular artist. So the ones I'm wearing right now are those pomegranate ones, and I'm obsessed with them. I love them so much. They're made in resin, as you can see, and so she hand makes everything. And like I said, she's based in Spain, so a lot of her designs are inspired by where she lives. But I had to get those pomegranate ones because if you know me, you know I love Greek mythology, and pomegranates make me think of Persephone. Plus, I love that fruit, so I got those. And one of my friends who came to visit me at Christmas, she got those for me. She knew I really wanted them, and so she got them for me for Christmas. I love them. Are they very subtle? No. They're over the top. Absolutely. But do I love them? Oh my god, I love them so much. And you know, for being resin, they're actually very light, which is amazing because I have a lot of neck pain, back pain, and I love funky jewelry, but it's so difficult to find fun jewelry that's not heavy, especially in terms of earrings. But those are actually really light, so that's awesome. Last pair I got, which I think is probably gonna be your guys' favorite because it feels very mystique. Let me show you one at a time. Is this hands one. She does a lot of those of this particular hand design, but in lots of different colors, and it's just a hand with like little stars and very like tarot readers hands, and I love those so much. So I wanted to shout out this artist because I'm not sponsored or anything, like I said, it's just me purchasing some for myself and some presents from my friend, but I discovered her thanks to my Spanish friend, and I think she does wonderful things, so I'll leave the link to her shop below. My mom is a jewelry maker, so obviously I have very fond affection for people who make jewelry. It's another one of my passions. I love, you know, unique jewelry pieces, things that are a bit different, that are a bit unique. So if you enjoy those kind of vibes, definitely check her out. Okay, let's move on to TV shows. I've got 2 shows I want to talk about. The first one was my favorite show I watched in January, and oh my god, I was obsessed. I binged it in 2 days, and it's the 2nd season of Alice in Borderland. So this is a TV show that's on Netflix. I talked about it last year when 1st season was around, and the 2nd season came around Christmas time, so I watched it in January, and I have been loving it so much. So it actually finishes the series, so if you want to watch all of it now you can. It's on Netflix. It is a Japanese TV show, so obviously you can either watch it in Japanese with English subtitles, which is what I did because I prefer to watch in original languages with subtitles. It just feels better for the voices of the actors, but it's also dubbed in English, so if you want to watch it in English you can. And the concept is very interesting. It's a dystopian TV show where a group of friends, 3 guys, are like 20 something, and one day whilst they're having their day out in Tokyo, they suddenly wake up to another Tokyo world where most of the population has disappeared, and the people who are left have to play games to survive. I need to say that first off the bat that this is quite a bit of a violent TV show, like there's a lot of death in there, so don't watch it if you are sensitive to that. Don't watch it with young people. Definitely check the rating on it, on how old you can watch it. But in terms of suspense and in terms of like thrillingness and being on the edge of your seat, there's not been one TV show that's hooked me like that for a really long time. People that's left in that world has to compete in games to gain points so that they can get a visa to stay the longest possible in the game, and each game is based on a card from a playing card, such as the 3 of clubs, the 4 of hearts, the king of hearts, etc, etc. And obviously, do you see where I'm coming from? This is super exciting for people like us who are into cartomancy, card playing, cards just in general. So the link between the cards, like traditional card playing that have become games in which people have to survive, and like I said, those games are life or death. It's quite intense. I just found that so fascinating. And so the 1st season focuses on games inspired from the cards, like up until the 10s, so 10 of hearts, 10 of clubs, etc. The 2nd season focuses on games inspired by the court cards, so the king of clubs, the queen of hearts, and what would they be if they were games where you have to fight for your life. It is so gripping, and the ending left me completely flabbergasted. I won't spoil you. If any of you watched it, let me know in the comments what you thought about the ending. I was very happy about it. I thought it was very clever, and I had so many theories, but this was not one of them. So the ending really took me by surprise in a good way. So if you've watched it, let me know in the comments. The second TV show I want to talk about we're gonna see a theme here. Obviously you see what I like. I love dystopian sci-fi things, and so the second TV show I have been absolutely loving in the month of February, called The Last of Us. I am obsessed with this TV show right now. This is all I can talk about to my friends who are watching it as well. Every time there's an episode that's finishing, we're over there texting, like, you know, redoing the whole thing, talking about every single thing. This is actually inspired by a video game to begin with, but I have not played the game because it's a horror video game originally, and me and horror games do not do well. I am such a scaredy cat that when it comes to, especially when it comes to video game, if something jumps on me, I will throw away my console and jump off the window, even though I live on the ground floor. Like, I am really scared very easily. I don't do horror films, I don't do horror video games. I don't like being scared. If you jump on me to try and scare me, I will not be able to control myself and I will punch you in the face. Like, so yeah, normally I don't do horror games, I don't do horror TV shows. This technically could be dubbed as a horror TV show, but honestly, if I can do it, I think you can, because like I said, I'm very scaredy cat. Like, I got scared for watching Stranger Things, and for parts of it I had to hide behind my hands or behind my dog. Just telling you, for other scaredy cats out there, I think you could handle it. The TV show at least. The game, I don't know, it sounds like a whole other level. In this dystopian reality, we are now living in some kind of apocalypse, obviously. Don't we always? This could be linked to like a zombie show, but this time, instead of a virus that has contaminated humans, it is fungi, so mushrooms, a sort of mushroom that normally could have never lived in the human body. Now, because of global warming, it has managed to adapt enough that it can get inside the human body and thrive and even take control of it. And so the zombies in this TV show, The Last of Us, are not regular zombies, they are fungi people. Fungi zombies, mushroom zombies. And you might think that this sounds not scary at all and kind of silly, but let me tell you, those mushroom monsters are terrifying. Every time there is one that comes on the TV, I can't deal. I have to like calm my nervous system and just like give myself a hug. But the story is so amazing, the characters are so interesting. A 50-year-old man and a young teenage girl who come together somehow and have to try and survive in this world. So I don't want to spoil it for you. I mean, the fact that it's mushrooms, you find that in the first 5 minutes. The rest of the story I want you to experience for yourself. Let's just say that for a dystopian, fantasy, a bit horror kind of TV show, it actually has a lot of humor. I've laughed out loud a few times. It actually has love and beauty and emotions. This is one of the best shows I've seen in the recent years, like honestly, hands down. Episode 3, if you've watched it, let me know if you've watched it, but I'm still thinking about episode 3 weeks on. Like, it's one of those stories that it stays with me and I continue to think about it. So moving and emotional. And the two main characters are for Game of Thrones, so if you enjoyed this particular franchise, you'll recognize them and you'll probably enjoy that as well. Let me know if you watch either of those shows, and if you have any recommendations for me, any TV shows where I can continue to hide behind my dog while I'm watching it, let me know. And I will be sure to be checking those out. Now let's move on to video games. So I have two games I want to mention before I get into it. If it's your first time here, just know that I always play my games on the Nintendo Switch. That's the only console I have, but if you do a quick Google search, you'll find out if those games are available on other platforms. The first game I want to mention is called Arise, and oh my god, that game moved me to tears, and this is not something that usually happens to video games. I have two kind of game love. I love a game that's very open world, RPG, adventure, you know, Breath of the Wild and those type of games where you are playing for hours and hours and hours and there's a long story and you get your character to be stronger and stronger and you collect things and stuff like that, which is what the second game I'm going to talk about is about. But I also have a huge love for cozy games where it's a lot less about grinding and dying and all of that, and it's just about enjoying, showing up. It's a bit of self-care time for me, it's a bit of meditation time. Oftentimes those games, they tell a story, they move you, and they're the perfect like cozy vibe. So Arise definitely falls into the cozy vibe category, but I think it is, in terms of emotional depth, as impactful as Spiritfarers. For those of you who play that, I think you'd really enjoy Arise. Arise is a platformer, but it's one of the best, if not the best, platformers game I've ever played, because the artwork is stunning. You play as this old man who dies and who wakes up in this kind of like liminal space. It could be, I guess, limbos, or you know, that place in between life or death where you've not passed over yet. And in this place he gets to explore his memories and relive his life. Each chapter of his life is a world for you to go through, when he starts as a kid all the way to when he is an old man. And so you explore his life through going through those different platform environments, and going through those environments and seeing how his life is evolving, and seeing what he lived in his life. And obviously each environment is going to be very telling and in alignment with what's happened in his life at that time. So for example, when he's a kid, the environment in this beautiful jungle, there's like beautiful flowers, and there's little ladybirds, and you're hanging off those ladybirds and the flowers, and everything is so magical. But then as he gets older and is going through more difficult times, the environment sometimes gets a lot darker and a lot more oppressive. Amazing experience in terms of, first of all, the platforming. Like I said, it's not normally my favorite type of game, but they're done wonderfully. It's not boring at all. It's like you've got different places to move. It's amazing. The music, I could listen to that music when I'm meditating, just not even playing the game. The artwork is so stunning. It feels like this immersive, beautiful, magical world you're setting yourself into. And the story had me moved to tears more than once. So I can't recommend this game enough. I've seen it on sale for less than 10 euros sometimes on the Nintendo eShop, so definitely check out Arise. If you're a lover of cozy games or games with a story, games that are going to make you think or feel something, go for it, 100%. And let me know if you've played it, because I've loved it so much. I would love to talk about it. The second game I want to mention is Immortal Fenyx Rising. This is actually a game that came out in 2020, so I'm very late to the party, which is usually the case when it comes to games. I'm not the one to keep up, but this one is for my RPG lovers. If you love a big open world with adventure, some fighting and going through quests, if you love Greek mythology, this is a game for you. This is mostly why I've been playing this game. I love Greek mythology with a passion, something I've loved since I've been a little girl, and this is filling my inner child with so much joy. So this is, like I said, this is an RPG. It's you play as Fenyx. You get to choose if you want them male presenting or female presenting, and you are the last hero in Greek mythology that can help defeat Typhon, the Titan, because Typhon actually has captured the Greek gods, and you have to help the Greek gods like restore their essence, restore their strength, so that you can all together go and fight the bad guy. So you're tasked with liberating Athena, Aphrodite, Ares, the god of war, like all those gods that you have to free. Obviously you have to fight Greek mythology monsters such as the Minotaurs or the Cyclops, and you're evolving in this world where everything is linked with Greek mythology. There's a whole side of it that really reminds me of Zelda Breath of the Wild, so if you love that and you like Greek mythology, don't even hesitate. You're going to be obsessed with this game, because there's so much of it that reminds me of that Zelda game, in terms of there's a lot of puzzles, there's a lot of like you have to explore those little caverns, or, you know, like dungeon types. You can ride horses and you can fly, and there's so many things that remind me of Zelda, but everything is linked with Greek mythology. So every single quest, every single puzzle, it's relating back to a story from Greek myth, and this has been bringing me so much joy. I'm obsessed. I've just been obsessed, so I wanted to share. If any of you out there love gaming and love Greek mythology, you need to play that for sure. You would love it. This is definitely available on other platforms. I'm sure it's on PlayStation and stuff, because it was a big release 2 years ago. And if you have played it, let me know what you think about it in the comments. We'd love to discuss. I am currently having a fight with a mosquito and I'm losing. The joy of living on a tropical island. It's not all rainbows and sunshine, I'm telling you. Sometimes it's like fight for your life against the mosquito. Anyway, if you see me whack something at some point, that's what it is. So let's talk about decks, because I have so many decks I want to talk about. As per usual, this is always my biggest category. I didn't do a favorite roundup in December because I did my yearly roundup for 2022. January, I was really ill after my friends came to visit me. I just had this huge health setback, huge flare-ups and stuff, so I didn't use that much decks. So I thought I'm just gonna cram everything today in this video. December, February, January, all of it, all the decks I've been loving. I hope you're ready, let's go. Let's start with the deck I used the most when my friends were here, and that was a surprise. I didn't think I would use that much. When they came to visit me, we stayed in different B&Bs together, and so I had this huge bag of decks to take with me because they wanted readings and they both have very different tastes, and I wanted something that would suit every occasion, every taste, everything. How we can be like deck lovers when we have to go somewhere. It's like the stress of like, what deck can I take? And so I took so many. We used quite a lot of them, but this was actually the one we used the most. We pulled a card pretty much every day from this each, and it was such a nice experience. And now every time I look at this deck, I think about this particular time with my friends, so it's just very special. This is a Modern Goddess Oracle by Ethany. It's an indie oracle deck. I've had this deck for at least 2 years, I'd say. I think I got it in 2020 or 2021. So it's been a while. I've enjoyed it since I've gotten it. First of all, can we talk about those backings? They're insane. Insane. So beautiful. Ethany's decks are just so gorgeous. Like, I've got this one, I've got the Modern Love Tarot. Both of them, it's just the quality, the guidebook, so much effort is put into the artwork. Like, you can tell that obviously Ethany is like a tarot reader, and you can tell she understands what we need as other tarot readers and tarot practitioners to enjoy a deck. Like, the guidebook in this one is fantastic, it's very chunky, so much information, and this actually mixes goddesses from different mythologies as well as archetypes. So we have a very interesting mix here, and I've been loving this particular deck because as a goddess deck, it's one of the very few that actually represents the goddesses from the country that they're from, like with the, you know, the skin color and potentially age, etc., that they would normally be represented as. It's wonderful because I can't tell you how sick I am to see Kali being represented as a pale white woman. Like, can we please stop that? Thank you. Also Isis, can we stop showing her as a white woman? Thank you. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. The math ain't mathing, it's not adding up. So I appreciate that, first of all, in this deck, the fact that there's different ethnicities, different goddesses from representing different cultures, different backgrounds. I love the addition of archetypes here. We have the witch, the healer, the fairy. That makes for a really fun reading. The guidebook is wonderful because for every single goddess you have one page that's working upwards and one page that's reversed. So if you want to invite that energy, or if you feel like that energy is blocked, kind of like light work, shadow work. For every single goddess or archetypes about who they are, what they represent, there's keywords, there's mantras, there's activities or ideas of how to work with the goddess, journaling, meditation prompts, all of that. There's just so much with this that makes it super interesting. And for me, I was always interested in this deck. I always loved it because I love mythology. My friends are not into mythology, and yet they love this. And they love this for daily card pulls. So while they were here, we pulled a card each day about which goddess energy is accompanying us today. And it was so on point. It was so eerie. We had the same goddess for, like, each of us pulled the same goddess a few times over the 2 weeks. So obviously we had some of them that were following each of us. It was awesome as well to see my friends who are not so much into cards. They love it when I read for them, but they don't really own decks of their own or anything like that. Enjoying reading the guidebook and getting their messages, and it being an introduction to them of what could be a daily card pull for them and oracle reading and stuff. So it was just nice to have that experience together. It was really cool to see that this deck can appeal to people who are either, you know, more experienced readers or people who are complete beginners, and it was just such a nice experience to have with them. So now I can't dissociate this deck with this particular experience. It's made me love it even more. Another oracle deck I've been really enjoying. I've been pulling cards on and off since I've received this end of last year. I've introduced it in a deck haul that I did end of last year. It's the Heart's Eye Oracle by Olivia Rose. This is an India oracle deck by a woman of color, and she's so talented. She has recently done a Kickstarter for another deck that is more ocean based, but because I literally just got this one, I didn't back the deck straight away. I think I might get it later in the year, but for now I'm enjoying this one that's fairy themed so much that I wanted to focus on that. But if you like mermaids, then she's got a new deck out, so I wanted to mention it. The artwork, she's so talented. This artwork is just gorgeous. It's so beautiful, and this deck comes on this beautiful like rose petal finish, but it's not sticky. It's one of the few decks I've seen in this particular finishes that is beautiful, soft touch, etc., but it's not sticky at all to shuffle, so we love that. And this particular artwork is just gorgeous. She's very talented. It transports you to this other world. In this case it's very fairy themed, fae themed, so it feels very mystical, very magical. It's literally one image and one keyword. There's a guidebook there. For every card you get a message and you get additional keywords. The guidebook is nice, although it's not numbered, which is a bit of a prefer when the guidebook is in alphabetical order, just because it's easier to look for your message. But it's definitely not a deal breaker. And what I love about this, apart from the artwork obviously, which is beyond, is that the keywords are very expensive, and I like the fact that they can be great starting points for journaling or for starting a tarot spread. Like for example, if I was to say, okay, what do I need to focus on today, and I was to pull courage, I would then maybe pick a tarot deck. Can I invite more courage in my life? How can I be more courageous? What is an advice from my higher self on how to be more brave? Things like that, you know. So I feel like it's a good starting point for diving deeper if you want. It's also a great like deck to read on its own, like if you want to do a daily card pull and you just need to have one image, one keyword in your message. It's perfect. It's perfect to pair with a tarot deck. It's perfect to pair with other oracle decks. There's just like a lot you can do. It's well balanced. There's some more light keywords and some more deeper keywords, so I like that mix, you know. I always look for that in an oracle deck. I have some oracle decks that are very love and light and happy. I do enjoy them sometimes, but most of the time I'm looking for something that has a balance, so that it's true to my experience, and so that when I feel like shit, it's not like happiness, everything is going great, and you're like, thank you for nothing. This does not do that, and I've been really enjoying it. So the Heart's Eye Oracle by Olivia Rose, beautiful deck, quality is amazing. Let's continue on the oracle decks front. Over the last 3 months, and this is a deck I've not showed on my channel, I realized I missed it off my deck haul because it was in my bag. I made a little patch for it because the box is absolutely terrible, so that's something I need to let you know of. The box is like very flimsy and bulky, so I got rid of that. But the cards in itself are wonderful. So this is a mass market oracle deck. It's called, I believe it's called the Modern Angels. No, Angels for the Modern Mystic, I think. I'm not 100% sure. The correct name I'm gonna put in the description box. But I saw this deck originally on Mariana's channel from Mariana Mas Books. I love her channel. Mariana is wonderful. She's so lovely and she's really funny and she's just really sweet. So if you are not watching Mariana, you need to. Also for all of my book lovers, she posts a lot of book related content, and so I first discovered this this oracle deck on her channel. It's like I said, it's mass market and I've never heard of it until then. The way that this deck is built is that every single card has a different face in it, and then on the back you have what they represent. So every card is a person, every person is an angel, and that angel and what that angel is, back of each card you see what that angel is. So for example, this particular person here is the angel of communication. I'll hold it like that if you want to pause the video so you can read and see how it reads. I love those type of oracle decks where you have an image here and the messages on the back, because for someone like me who sometimes just has those moments where I want to get my message and then be out the door. Sometimes I don't want to be racking my brain over what that particular messages mean, and I don't want to be pondering over it and trying to decipher it. Sometimes I love a good headache, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I love a good deck headache where I can be really like looking at my tarot spreads for days, and every day it's gonna distill and infuse some wisdom, etc. I definitely have those moments, but I also for sure have those moments where all I want to do is get my message and move on, and so this is perfect for that. Also, can we talk about how beautiful all those characters are? We see male presenting figures, which is amazing, something we never see enough in oracle decks, so love that. We see different skin tones, different age, different body type. Like when we talk about representation, this is for sure one of the better ones I've seen, and this is why I got the decks, because I am not an angel person normally. I don't like angels in terms of archetypes, it's just not my vibes. And if you love them, I'm not judging at all, I'm not saying like they're bad or anything, it's just they don't resonate with me. But when I saw those images on Mariana's channel, I fell in love with those characters, and so even though they are supposedly angels, they represent to me everyday people that I could see in my life. They could be my uncles or my cousins or my best friends or my physio or the person who's driving the bus. Like, it just feels so normal and rooted in grounded in day-to-day life, and that's what I really enjoy about this deck. The people represented and the messages, they're very healing, they're very gentle, they are really well balanced. We have the angel of patience, the angel of protection, this is the angel of kindness, this one is the angel of endings, we have the angel of empathy, the angel of comfort. And there's something about this deck that feels so comforting, so rooted in day-to-day life, and this is hugely underrated. I haven't seen anyone but Mariana talk about this, so thank you so much, Mariana, for introducing this to me. The last oracle deck I want to mention before we move into tarot decks is a French mass market oracle deck called Message de guérison de l'Égypte ancienne. It literally translates to healing messages from ancient Egypt. This is such a wonderful oracle deck. It's brought me so much in the last months. It's the oracle deck I've used the most since the end of January. I've used it all of February. It's just brought a lot of healing to my life, and I really wanted to share it with you. This is by Claire Duval, who you might know on YouTube as Claire de la Lune. She is a French tarot tuber, French creator, French author. She is wonderful. You need to go and follow her if you understand a little bit of French. She's so insightful, very intelligent. She does videos on tarot and oracle decks, but also in mythology and magic. She's literally a wealth of knowledge, and I've been following her work since way before I started YouTube, so I'll leave the link to her channel below. She very kindly sent a couple of her decks to me. So this one was created by her and Celia Melville, who you might know as the illustrator of quite a few decks. She has her own publishing house as well, where she publishes indie decks like the Boo Tarot, the Tarot Renard, the Lily White, the Lily Black. So both of those super talented French creators. First of all, this is for all of my Egyptian mythology lovers. If you love anything related to ancient Egypt, Egyptian mythology, you're gonna love this. It's gold edges, and the backs all look the same, with this beautiful scarab. One of those where every single card has a message on the card. So this is a French deck. As far as I know, it's not been picked up in English yet, but I think even if you don't speak French, this would be very easy to use, because as you can see, every card has an image, a title, and then literally just a little message right here. Those messages you could very easily use Google Translate on your phone, the app. That's what I do for all of my other decks that are in languages I don't understand. I use my phone, I literally scan and it translates in front of your eyes. It's magical. But this is so potent. Like, Claire's words paired with Celia's artwork make for just a really beautiful deck, I think, with a lot of depth. So of course, this is being based in Egyptian mythology, you're gonna find gods and goddesses linked to that mythology. You're gonna see ritualistic objects that you might find in the tombs or the pyramids. You might see animals and symbols, all linked to this particular era, this particular time. The text from Claire, they're very direct, very potent, and it feels like you are reading something very soul validating. Like you can, when you use this deck, even though you might think the messages is quite short, there's a lot of potency here, and I think it's due from the fact that one, the themes used and this particular era, it's very magical. Like we know that Egypt is the root for so much of the magic that we still use today, right? And also you can tell that Claire has done so much research. She's been to Egypt and she's like really researched her subject, and for that I very much value. I love the fact that we see different things than other oracle decks on that particular theme, because I've got quite a few Egyptian themed deck, but what I love with this one is we see objects, symbols that are different and unique, things that you wouldn't see normally everywhere, such as this particular water clock, for example. So of course the fact that there's gods and goddesses I also really appreciate. For me, it's the most unique and different Egyptian mythology themed oracle deck I've ever used, and like I said, I've got quite a few. So let me pull a card and I can translate to you what the message said, just so you can see how it reads. I'll just ask if we can get a message for whoever's watching. What do we need to know right now? What's the most important for us to be aware of? What could help us at this moment in time? Oh, we have a jumper. It's funny because when we passed through it, it caught my eye. It is a clepsydra or water clock. They are, you know, with the sundials, they were considered like one of the oldest way to measure time. And it says, time is your friend. With softness and patience, it applies its healing balm on wounded hearts. As you can see, it's a short message, it's very potent. And so what I've been doing is I've been pulling a card pretty much every day or every other day if I felt like I needed to sit with that message a bit longer. Every single time it's just what I need to hear. Every single time it feels so healing, so validating. It's like it actually helps me to get through my day. If I was to get this water clock card, for example, I know I need to work with time, and so maybe I can do a little visualization where I work with this particular imagery. Maybe I imagine my own clock in terms of how does that look like in my head, how can I work with that, how can I visualize it to help me maybe flush out all of my worries, things like that. So there's been a lot of different ways I've worked with this deck, sometimes just to get my message, sometimes as a starting point for a little visualization or meditation or a little journaling session. But overall, this is wonderful. I can't recommend it enough. I'm very thankful to Claire for sending this to me, because this has very quickly become a rooted part in my practice, and I've been enjoying this deck so much. I can't recommend it enough. Again, this is called Message de guérison de l'Égypte ancienne. I'll leave the name of it in the description box. You could find it on amazon.fr. Let's move on to tarot decks. I love that category just as much as the oracle decks, and I've got 4 tarot decks I want to mention today. So let's start with one you would have seen in my recent deck haul. This is Le Tarot Django. It's a little French mass market deck. This is by the French creator Soul Shadow Tarot. She has a YouTube channel. I'll leave the link to her channel down below. She's another one of those channels that for me are top tier. Must watch every video she puts out. I stop what I'm doing and I'm watching, so if you're speaking French, definitely check her out. I found it in my recent deck haul because I got my dad to bring it back to me from France when he went there in November, and it's just been the perfect little deck to take everywhere. As you can see, it's quite small, more like poker size, playing card size than tarot size, so if you have smaller hands, this is going to be perfect for you, or if you're looking for a deck that you can take everywhere, this is what I've been doing. This has been living in my bag and I'm not mad about it. It's wonderful. It doesn't come with an actual leaflet. It comes with a lot of cards with keywords on them and a ton of different spreads options, so I love that. There's also a QR code that takes you to a video where Mariana, the creator, explains to you how you can read tarot. I think it's like over an hour video. It's in French, but that comes for free with this deck. I think that's really cool, and I've never seen another tarot deck do that, so I think that's really helpful for people who learn better in when they watch something rather than like reading a guidebook. Very pared down, simple tarot deck in the sense that it's literally one image and the title. The artwork is giving me comic book style, which I really like. I think it's very sweet. It's got this childlike quality to it that I really appreciate, but this deck is so clever because managing to distill every single tarot archetype into one single image, I think is a very clever thing to do. Can you imagine trying to summarize Temperance or the High Priestess in one single image without background, without necessarily characters, just one object, something very simple, pared down, and they make sense. All of those really make sense. So I think that the work that's been done here is distilling all the essence of tarot into the pure essence of what it could be to make it accessible for everyone, and I think that's wonderful. Obviously, I love all tarot decks. I love the very esoteric, full of symbol ones, the one where it's like every color means something and it's linked to the chakras and there's all this like astrological associations and all of that. But I also love tarot like this, where you see the image and you know what's going on, and when you're reading for others particularly, this type of tarot deck, it makes it less scary for them to get a reading, especially for people who are not used to getting their cards read or a bit apprehensive, and they get a bit overwhelmed if you're pulling out something like, I don't know, the Tarot Masonic, for example, where it's beautiful, but it's like, what is all of those symbols? So I read for this, read this with my friends when they came over. It was a wonderful reader. I read for quite a few friends, like on Skype and stuff, since I've got this, and every single one enjoyed it for the simplicity of it. This is like simple but powerful, and for me, for myself as a reader, I find it a very straight, sharp shooter. It's like a sniper. You want to know what's going on? Here you go. There's no ifs, buts, and it's not gonna tell you a whole story, it's just gonna give you bullet points. Sometimes you need that, and again, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you want the whole story, and you want the prologue and the epilogue, and you want to know like all the characters and all of that. Sometimes you just need to know like bullet points, here we go, let's move on. This is one of those for me. I really have been loving this tarot deck. I can't recommend it enough, even though it's a French deck. If you know tarot, you will be able to use this deck for sure. Let's move on to my second favorite of the last couple of months. We have the Joe Sparrow Tarot. This is wonderful. I've waited for this deck for months. I ordered it back in August last year. It took about 6 months to arrive to me. I live in the Indian Ocean, if you don't know, so things sometimes can take a long time to come to me, and this was from the UK. I bought it from the artist directly. It's a indie deck. It comes in a tuck box. It doesn't come with a guidebook or anything, just the cards, but this is RWS based, so if you are familiar with the Wade Smith tarot, you're going to be completely fine. What completely charmed the pants out of me for this deck was the artwork that is so magical, fantastical, and cheeky. This is like comic book style. It's very childlike. It feels like the kind of books I would read when I was a kid. All the characters are so full of personality, and even though it is an RWS based deck, it definitely does its own thing. The cards don't have a title, they just have a number at the top, and at the bottom you have a symbol representing the suits, so that's wonderful. I think that it gives the artwork more space to breathe, and I really love that. This is one of those decks for me that has the most personality. You can tell that this person who created the deck, they wanted to infuse as much personality and as much of their understanding of tarot into the deck. So there's a lot of cheekiness about this tarot deck in terms of the drawings, the style, the depiction, the choices in terms of how to depict certain archetypes feels very, like I was saying, like childlike in a good way, with that kind of like cheeky childlike behavior. Like, look at this Seven of Cups, for example. There's something that reminds me of cartoons and animes and things like that. But this deck also is very, for me anyway, and I know some people don't personalize their deck and they don't like that, but that's how I relate to my deck. So even if you don't like it, sorry, but that's how I do it. For me, this reads very honest and almost like too honest, in the sense that it might hurt your feelings when you don't expect it. And this is truly like, you know, when we say children always speak the truth, and sometimes it hurts, but they don't realize that what they're saying hurts because they're just saying what's right in front of their faces. This feels a bit like that. It's like it's gonna tell you exactly how it is. It doesn't care if it hurts your feeling because it just is telling it to you, and it looks so cute while doing it that you can't get mad at it, right? So this is one of those where it's hurt my feelings quite a few times, and I'm not the only one. I know quite a few people who have that deck who told me the exact same thing. It's very brutal in its readings, but you can't get mad at it because it's so cute, so you're almost like, okay, hurt me more, I'm ready. Don't get fooled by the colorful, cute, cartoony look of it. This can go deep. This reads really well. I love this strength card with this little girl facing a huge growling lion. So powerful. That's what I mean. It's like, just because it's cartoony, it doesn't make it less potent. And this deck has a lot to say. I think this might be making its way in my yearly favorites, and I know we're only in February, but it's just made a really strong impression on me. And you know, I have a lot of decks, and so to find something that's so different, unusual, that brings such a difference. Okay, let's wrap up with one deck I've not shown on my channel before. It's a Kickstarter I backed last year, and it finally made its way to me, and oh my god, I have fallen in love so hard for this deck. Like I said, the last couple of weeks, this is what I've been using for my own readings, and it's one of the most beautiful decks I own. There, I said it. Bold statement, I know, but wait until you see it, and I think you're gonna agree. This is the Age of Aquarius Tarot by Yana Saint-Lévy, or Yana Saint-Lévy in English, but I will again leave the link to their social media down below and to where you can get the deck. Like I said, I backed this on Kickstarter, but I'm pretty sure it's either now open for sale or is gonna be open for sale soon. My copy took quite a long time to come because obviously we know where I am now, everything takes longer to come here. Packs have got dolphins on them, which I'm not gonna lie, when I saw this on Kickstarter, I was like, add to cart. I'm gonna show you the deck, but when you're gonna see some of the images, you're gonna understand why I just couldn't resist anything oceanic related. And so of course this deck is, as you're gonna see, it has a lot of cards that are water based, that are based in that have water animals that are underwater, and so I fell in love with it and I backed it. Weirdly, this is weird, which is weird though, because the Age of Aquarius, it's quite cosmic based as well. And I'm not a huge fan of the whole starseed vibe. It's not something that always resonates with me personally, and sometimes I struggle to connect with those starseed things because I'm a very grounded person. I have my 2 feet on earth, and so I struggle sometimes to connect with that. But despite the name that you might think it's very cosmic, and there are added oracle cards such as here that have those very strong cosmic themes, you can take the oracle cards out and just keep the tarot deck. And the tarot deck in itself I found a lot more rooted in water and ocean rather than rooted in the cosmic vibes, even though as you can see from the artwork it's a little bit of both. So for me, in terms of when I backed it, this was completely of a superficial level. I'm not gonna lie, I saw the artwork and I was like, oh my god, this is so beautiful, I need this in my life. When I actually started to get the deck and I've been working with it, I found it a lot more profound and with a lot more depth than I expected. Because is it beautiful? Yes, it's gorgeous, it's exquisite. Did I show you that on every single card you have upward keywords and downward keywords? That's cool. I don't have a lot of decks who do that. This is giving everything the basic white girl inside of me wants, and I'm not denying that. I'm not ashamed, but There are some cards, such as this one for example, the Page of Wands with a chameleon, that hit me in the feels, because chameleons are very important animals to me. We have them where I live in Reunion, and one of my court cards that I identify with the most is the Page of Wands. So to have that particular connection here is wonderful. And then on top of that, there's this whole side of this deck that is dark and moody and deep and is rooted in this kind of like stormy weather with the ocean. Like, look at this particular Seven of Swords. There's something so deep about this, and it's really rooted in the ocean. That's what I was saying, even though it could feel, I mean, look at this. When I saw this King of Cups, I squealed. Am I so predictable? Absolutely. What I'm saying is I had a bit of apprehension that this deck was just going to be very beautiful and maybe superficial level, but I'm finding now that I've got it and I've looked at all the cards and I've been using it the last 2 weeks, that it goes so much deeper than what I expected, and I'm so happy, because sometimes pretty decks don't run that deep. I'm not gonna lie, and I don't mind, because sometimes you're just in the mood to feel your pretty fantasy and you use a deck and maybe it's a bit superficial, but it doesn't matter because it's a vibe, it's looking gorgeous and it's okay. But this is actually deeper than what I expected. And we see dolphins and we see fish and jellyfishes and whales and orcas. Like, I love that, and a lot of people shot underwater. Is it perfect? No, it's not. I'm not gonna lie. The majority of the models used are very young, very thin, very white. There's, that's just like 80% of the people shown. That's the artist's choice, and I'm not there to debate with it, but I take it as face value, purely because I feel very attracted to those particular underwater imagery. Oh, this is one of the extra cards. Like I said, we have oracle cards, and this is one of the oracle cards. I don't know if it's Kickstarter only, but this is so mesmerizing. I feel like this is a spell. So yeah, I kind of take it as face value because I enjoy this particular environment and theme so much, but it's definitely not perfect in terms of representation. So that's just something I want to mention, and something that if I could choose I would have differently. However, in terms of reading with this, like I said, this reads a lot deeper than I thought. The added oracle cards, at first I wasn't sure if I wanted to put them in. Normally I'm more the kind of person that if you give me extra cards I put them on the side, especially there's a lot of them, but I've tried to put them back in my deck for this week, and so far it's working well. In terms of production, of quality and everything, this is everything you want in the deck to be. The cards are beautiful, they're like matte, so the artwork really pops, I think, on them. The colors are soft, but they're not too light, so that even if you read at nighttime with just a little candle, sometimes I do that, or a little light, you can still see it. And the guidebook looks like this. It's actually quite chunky. There's actually a lot of information here that could get you started on tarot, even beyond tarot, such as working with crystals and astrology and stuff. So I thought that was good. It's not just about the deck. And then for each card you get the image, you get keywords for upright and reverse, you get the astrological sign, the house, a planet, a timing, you get a question for introspection, you get a mantra, which she calls evocation, you get a light and a shadow message. Short, it's concise, but you get everything there. Astrological association, a question, a mantra. That's what I mean by saying that it actually runs a lot deeper. I was buying it because I thought it was beautiful, and it is beautiful, but it's also really well done, really well thought out, really clever, good choices in terms of keywords, the ones that are on the cards, very good. Some of them are unusual and I like that. They're not necessarily ones that I would have thought about, and it brought me so much joy since I've received it. So my friends, this is it. This was my first monthly favorite of 2023. Did I say 2022 in the intro? Listen, time is escaping. I don't even know what is going on anymore, but I can't believe we're in 2023 already. Things are moving so fast. Next month is March, which is my birthday month, so obviously I'm excited. We just have to get through Pisces season first. Send us luck. But then we get into Aries season, very excited about that. Let me know in the comments what you've been up to, what tarot decks you've been enjoying, what oracle decks, do you have any recommendation, books, TV shows, decks. If you just want to chat, just tell me how you've been. I love talking to you in the comments, it's always a joy. If you're still here watching this video, thank you so much for commenting, liking, just watching, just you being there. It's huge, and I'm so grateful that you let me be a little part of your day. So I wanted to say a huge thank you, and until my next video, I'm sending you so much good vibes and keep navigating the waves of your soul. Bye!